Welcome back. You're watching Gravitas. North Korea is looking for trouble. If China decides to help, that would be great. If not, we will solve the problem without them. This is what US President Donald Trump tweeted about 3 hours back. He also said that he's told the Chinese president that a trade deal with the US will be better if China solves the North Korea problem. The veiled threats come amid reports that Pyongyang is planning another nuclear test within a week's time, and has declared that it is prepared for war. Beyond the bluff and bluster, though, what can America do at this point? North Korea is not Syria, we know that, and its leader has left no doubt on how he will respond. Here's a report.
US President Donald Trump dined with China's Xi Jinping. As his army rained bombs on Syria's Al-Shairat air base. If the message was lost on anyone, US Secretary of State Rex Tillerson did the needful.
We remember the events of August 12, 1944 that occurred in Santa Ana. Rededicate ourselves to holding to account any and all who commit crimes against the innocents anywhere in the world. This place will serve as an inspiration to us all.
A series of steps followed this. The US redeployed its naval strike team in the Korean peninsula, a move that Pyongyang called reckless. China flew its nuclear envoy to Seoul to discuss the crisis. Beijing turned away North Korean cargo ships laden with coal. And South Korea said there was a greater provocation from the North amid reports in China's state-owned Global Times that the Chinese army had amassed 150,000 troops, including medical teams, on the border with North Korea. While the Chinese Foreign Ministry says it wasn't aware of a troop build-up, North Korea's Supreme People's Congress began its annual sitting on Tuesday. Amid speculation that a nuclear plan will be unveiled ahead of April 15th, the birth anniversary of North Korean founder Kim Il-sung. America's muscle flexing and China's coercion have met with a stubborn response from Pyongyang. North Korea's daily newspaper ominously warned, a preemptive strike is not an American monopoly. With Trump raising the stakes, experts concede that a nuclear-armed North Korea isn't Syria. The question is, how far is America prepared to go? Bureau Report, WION.
And with us on this story, Arithangan political commentator from Beijing, Sandeep Kumar Mishra, Associate Professor at the School of International Studies in JNU, with me in the studio, and Jonathan Landay, National Security Correspondent, Thomson Reuters, with us from Washington. Good evening to all of you. Jonathan, to you first. For the second time in a week, Donald Trump has said that we are prepared to solve North Korea with or without China. How far is the American government prepared to go?
Well, that's a good question. Because it's not apparent that President Trump has any better options than any of his predecessors had when it comes to dealing with North Korea. Yes, the United States has overwhelming firepower. Yes, the United States is capable of using that firepower against North Korea. But North Korea also has an immense force of artillery, somewhere in excess of 11,000 pieces of artillery pointed directly at the heart of the South Korean capital, Seoul. And so any attempt by the United States, it would seem to many experts, to unleash its firepower against North Korea's nuclear facilities and ballistic missile facilities could very well trigger a retaliatory strike against the heart of the South Korean capital, Seoul, that would cause up to millions of casualties.
Arithangan, is China caught between the devil and the deep blue sea here?
Well, it's in a difficult position. As we've talked about before, China is trying to thread the needle on this. No one wants an armed confrontation. Least of all the South Koreans, who've already, the opposition leader, who is most likely to be in the Blue House after the election, has said he does not want any kind of military action without the acquiescence of South Korea. Another disturbing trend is that Donald Trump tweeted about 3.5 hours ago that if China were to work a deal with North Korea, the trade deal would be better for them. This is a very big departure from previous American attitudes, where you keep trade and security assurances separate. It's clear that Donald Trump thinks that these things are intertwined. His call to Taiwan in Taiwan, his repeated threats, the use of the Tomahawk missiles, these are all indications that he's sending that he will use military force as an adjunct to his trade policy. A very, very unsettling type of situation.
To say that Donald Trump is unconventional would be an understatement, Sandeep. There's a lot of saber rattling that we've seen over the past couple of weeks, including that the tweets that the US president put out about 3 hours back. How much of this is bluster?
In my opinion, it's not that serious situation on Korean Peninsula, because when I look at every April, you know, every April what happens that Americans and South Koreans, they are having joint military exercises around Korean Peninsula, and every year usually the temperature goes a bit high.
Okay.
So it's part of that. You know, April there are different, I think.
But there's talk of a possible nuclear test in less than a week's time.
So every April actually there are expectations that they are going to have, because April 11th he became like Kim Jong-un, he became leader of party.
Yeah.
Then April 13th he became leader of, you can say, National Defense Council. April 15th they are having Kim Il-sung's birth date, the original great leader. Then April 25 they are having anniversary of establishment of Korean People's Army. So every year, to show all these events and to put, actually there are expectations that North Koreans, they may go for some missile tests, some nuclear tests or something. Plus at this point of time, as I told you, joint military exercises also, because 2-month military exercises, they are going to end by end of April. So April, slightly things are warm up actually in North Korea, Korean Peninsula. This year the difference is that 2 important leaders involved in this crisis, one is Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump. Actually, they are going to decide what could be the beginning line of their negotiation, like negotiations of the way they deal with each other. So basically, this is saber rattling. This is basically a tug of war in which actually both the party, they have been trying to settle where from we are going to begin our.
Okay.
So basically, they are looking very aggressive. They are making very strong statements. But I think all these things are overall, if you look at take a longer perspective, things are quite natural. And you know, overall, you know, few days back, a Japanese Japan Biz, some blog, they decided and they spread a rumor that April 27 Americans, they are going to attack North Korea. And there are lots of, you can say, rumors in South Korea and everywhere.
This is not a rumor. This is the American president coming out and saying that we'll stop short at nothing and we are prepared to go the whole hog, which is what makes it difficult. Let me take this question to Jonathan Landay. Jonathan, how does America see China's role here? The turning away of cargo ships, the fact that the Chinese nuclear envoy is in South Korea to hold talks, and the troop deployment, the reported troop deployment along the North Korean border?
Well, I think it's unclear how Donald Trump really views this. I mean, all things considered, the meeting with Xi Jinping was mostly about atmospherics. You got no real agreements coming out of it, but you did have both presidents talking about what an initially good meeting this was. You know, Donald Trump seems to conduct U.S. foreign policy along the same lines that he conducted real estate deals. That is, you come in with this top line, this is my offer, you take it or leave it, and from there you negotiate. He negotiated down. It could very well be that that's what we're seeing now. As I said, the options that are available to the U.S. president, to U.S. President Donald Trump, in terms of using military force against North Korea, its nuclear program, and its ballistic missile facilities are just as bad now as they were for his predecessors, who opted not to attack the North, but to use sanctions. Now, when it comes to China, U.S. officials say that there are more steps that can be taken, both against North Korea and against Chinese banks that apparently the North Koreans have continued to use in terms of sanctions. And I think that may be where things may be going first. Although, you know, in a situation like this, yes, your last guest talked about how this is not out of the ordinary, but the fact is, given the heightened tensions, given the deployments that are going on, any miscalculation on either side could lead to an escalation in tensions and a miscalculation and action that could start shooting. So I think it is a fraught situation. It has been for some time, and we're just going to have to wait to see where this goes.
Right, and miscalculation can be in words as well. Einar, they say discretion is the better part of valor. Do you believe that the American president has narrowed his options with the repeated and open dares?
No, I'd agree with my American colleague. This is classic Donald Trump business tactics. He's trying it. Unfortunately, I don't think he understands the gravity of the situation. He's trying to use different things for different purposes. Using security to get a trade concession from China is dangerous. I don't agree that this is business as usual. Keep in mind, this is about nuclear weapons and the ability to send an intercontinental missile across basically half the world. This is something that has to be done. Keep in mind where China is on this. Xi Jinping has refused to meet with this young Kim, which has just enraged him. I mean, there has been no good relationships between these two countries. The fact that they just cut 1/3 of their foreign hard currency earnings by putting a moratorium on buying coal has just exacerbated. The difficulty is that no one is willing to go to the table with what the real issues are, which is China wants U.S. soldiers out of South Korea, and if there is a unified Korea, to make sure that it remains neutral. I think Russia would also want the same. But this is at countertops with what Trump is trying to achieve by using this as a chip and a grand bargain.
So how far is China prepared to go? Will it go the whole hog? Because for appearance's sake, some say that China sent a nuclear envoy to South Korea, that China is curbing trade with Pyongyang. What is the red line as far as China is concerned?
I don't know that there is a red line per se. If there's a nuclear attack on South Korea, I think this could provoke some sort of very drastic reaction. I don't know that, if American military troops are involved in some sort of action going forth into North Korea, then you have a very, very unstable situation. Remember, this is not a popular regime. It is not popular in China. It is not popular with the government here in China, witnessed by their actions.
So, Jonathan, when North Korea says that America doesn't have a monopoly on preemptive strikes, how worried should the world be? How worried should America be?
Well, we've seen in the past that North Korea is prepared to take unexpected, strident measures against, in this case, in the past, South Korea, with the sinking of a South Korea, the attack on a South Korea vessel, that kind of thing. And so I think they're certainly adding to the atmospheric tensions. However, and again, they hold Seoul, downtown Seoul, hostage. We'll just have to wait and see. It's curious about the fact that the composition of the strike force, the carrier strike force that has been sent off the Korean Peninsula by President Trump. It includes a Lake Champlain, a U.S. vessel that is equipped with Aegis radar and standard 3 missiles, which together are used for a missile defense system. Does that mean that the United States might, if the North Koreans try to test another missile, try to shoot that missile down over international waters? we have to wait and see. But certainly this is something that's going to play out over the next couple of days. And we're going to have to wait to see which country, this is a game of chicken. We'll have to wait to see which country blinks and steps back and say, okay, we're ready now to de-escalate.
Right. We've seen the leader in Pyongyang, but there's a new one in the White House, and he's unpredictable, unconventional, as I said. Even if this is a game of who blinks first, as you say, how does India look at this, and how worried should the world be? You're saying that this is routine, but there are a lot of new factors at play here.
I agree with, actually, I fully agree with you that basically it's like we know that Kim Jong-un is unpredictable. So new American president, he is also trying to portray himself that he is also
Can America do a Syria and North Korea, is the question.
Impossible, simply impossible. People who say it, they don't know the intricacies. Suppose one thing, Syria did not have, they don't have nuclear weapons and missiles capacity as North Korea has. Plus, Syria is not actually supported wholeheartedly by any country as North Korea has been supported by China. Similarly, the third factor...
Syria is being supported by Russia.
Russia, but not wholeheartedly as China, because survival...
Wholeheartedly meaning?
Wholeheartedly means actually the survival of Syria is not very sacrosanct for Russian foreign policy.
Okay.
But in case of North Korea, survival of North Korea is very important for Chinese foreign policy. China is not in favor of North Korean nuclear and missile program, but at the same time they are also going to ensure that North Korean collapse doesn't happen. No country actually is going to attack North Korea and make it actually collapse. That's impossible to happen. The third factor in case of North Korea, why it's not Syria, that North Korea, the South Korea division line, DMG. DMG is just 50 kilometers away from capital city of Seoul, where more than 1/4 of South Korean population stay, including 15,000 American soldiers. So all those things are going to be in danger if something like unfortunate happens. So in my opinion, this basically is a kind of, say, portraying that, look, I am also equally unpredictable, so behave with me carefully. So that kind of image actually, because otherwise if it's serious, they must have talked. Even if unilaterally America or Trump decide to attack North Korea, they need to talk to South Koreans, they are allies. They need to talk to Japanese. But in case of this case, I think...
Donald Trump is saying, I'll do it alone.
No, even if you do it alone, you must inform your allies. You are going to inform your allies because they are going to have also, because if Americans, they attack North Korea is going to attack Seoul.
Right. So you're saying that...
And South Korean Foreign Ministry, Japan Foreign Ministry, both of them, today only they have clarified there is no information of this kind of.
Yes, but the situation is still developing, and I hope what you say is right, that this is just routine rhetoric, as you're saying. Every April this happens, and it's happening again with a more vocal American president who is not shy of dishing out threats and dares. We'll see how this plays out. Thanks very much, Jonathan Landay, Sandeep, of course, here, and Einar Tangan, thank you very much. And, of course, the situation heating up in the Korean Peninsula, so we're going to wrap this edition.